Fellow Kiss fans, welcome to It's All For You Demons, celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan. Welcome to the Wax Night Basement, where we wax, rock and roll, nostalgia. Today, talking about Motley Crue, not talking about Kiss, talking about Motley Crue. If you follow my buddy Brant in my head on YouTube, which you should, head over to his channel and subscribe. He has a great series going on right now called The Panel Has Spoken. It is tons of fun. You can get involved. Head over to Brant's channel in my head, sub to that channel, get involved in the Panel Has Spoken series. But again, if you follow Brant, you probably saw a video of him and I talking about the Motley Crue announcement. I took November off of making videos, started a new Kiss project that's going along smoothly, and completion target date December 2020. It's going to be a big one, so we shall see how that rolls out. But as I took November off, I did not have a chance here on this channel to talk about the Motley Crue announcement, and so I thought I would today just kind of spend a little time waxing nostalgia about Motley Crue, and you know, I've had time to think about it and give some of my updated thoughts on this announcement that Motley Crue is back. First things first, as you noticed in the title, Motley Crue was my Kiss as a child. 1984, 10 years old, my friend Sean Wiley got Shout at the Devil on cassette, and that summer we listened to this tape over and over and over again in the woods behind his house with a little portable ghetto blaster. Really loving this. I mean, this was like my first heavy metal record. I was a Quiet Riot fan. Quiet Riot. Heavy metal, but not heavy metal like this. I mean, 4th grade, 10 years old. It's kind of changed my world. And to this day, I still consider Shout at the Devil probably the greatest heavy metal record of the 80s, of my generation. Now, I grew up with a very, very religious mother and could not have Shout at the Devil in my home. My first copy of it was a copied off, you know, like a dub cassette tape. And then later on, I ended up with an actual Motley Crue cassette tape, and I took an old-timer pocket knife. I took one of those pocket knives and I scratched out At the Devil on the track listing and the cassette itself. So, and I believe I crossed out Bastard as well. My cassette was called Motley Crue Shout. I was the only kid in America with a Motley Crue Shout cassette tape. That's my history with that tape. Blew my mind. 1984, 4th grade. I could not celebrate my love of Motley Crue outwardly because of my mom, and so I devised a way that I could possibly get a Motley Crue tape, and that was Christmas 1985, my 5th grade year. I asked my sister for this, and she bought me this cassette tape. 1985, Christmas Day. I had this cassette tape and Duran Duran Arena, and it was probably the most amazing Christmas day I've ever had in my life. So much fun. I'm a huge Theater of Pain fan. Shout at the Devil's a great record, but Theater of Pain has some serious occupancy in my heart, and to me, it's my favorite Motley record, just because I have such good memories of it. You know, Christmas Day, listening to that record over and over and over again. Tonight We Need a Lover is my all-time favorite Motley Crue song. I love that muted guitar sound and that scratch, squeak of the picks on those guitar strings. So much fun. my favorite Motley Crue record. That was in the 5th grade. 7th grade, moving to 7th grade, this on cassette, and really blew me away as well. It was more raw, of course, than Theater of Pain, and very fun to listen to the roots of Motley Crue, if you will. I remember telling Danny that how much I like this record, and you know, I do a series on this vlog called The Naive Teenage Rock and Roll Mind. Well, I was a naive teenage rock and roll mind listening to this tape in the 7th grade because I, for some reason, thought Nicky sang On With The Show. I don't know why. Maybe because I read in the liner notes like On With The Show, music and lyrics by Nikki Sixx, so I thought he sang it because Vince's voice was higher then and it just didn't have that Vince Neil sound. So I was a confused teenager listening to this record, but this is one of those records that I think will go down in history as like one of the greatest rock and roll records of all time. This is almost like a, you know how people look back at like the first Faster Pussycat record or Appetite by Guns N' Roses? I think this one day will be a record that, you know, a kid picks up and decides, I'm gonna form a band too, because it's kind of got a punk quality to it, and I dig that. 7th grade as well, Girls, Girls, Girls came out, and Danny and myself were the last people in St. Joe to buy Girls, Girls, Girls on cassette. Record Warehouse had one copy left, and we bought it. We got in his Camaro, put it in, and had not heard Wild Side, and that blew us away. Wild Side, to this day, is still one of the most amazing rock and roll songs ever. I would say second to that would be Primal Scream, another great rock and roll song. But Wild Side, 7th grade, blew my doors off and really solidified me as being a Motley Crue fan. 7th and 8th grade were spent. We used to cut the top of our Trapper Keeper and slide in Metal Edge, Hit Parader, Circus pictures of Motley Crue and trade them in class. And our Trapper Keepers were like celebrations of Motley Crue, and my first rock and roll poster was a funky Theater of Pain poster. I still love that poster whenever I see it, and if I ever run across it, I'm gonna have to add it. No place for it here in the basement, but gonna have to just have it for nostalgia's sake. So fast forward a bit to Dr. Feelgood. This was huge my freshman year of high school. I remember the anticipation for this record being like monstrous, and Danny and I even would call like a 1-800 number, and you got to hear like maybe like 30 seconds of Dr. Feelgood and, you know, like a message from Vince and Tommy, and of course they charged you like $5 per call, but we did it because pre-internet world, you didn't have any way to satisfy your cravings of new music, and we could not wait for this record. Huge in my life, and also my first concert ever, Dr. Feelgood tour. Kansas City Kemper Arena, November 1989, I believe. I even followed Motley Crue in to the Karabi phase. Love this record. This record has a tremendous sound. In my opinion, Tommy Lee's greatest drumming is on this record. And I think if you played this record for a young person today, didn't tell them it was Motley Crue, and you told them it was a brand new band, they would be all about it. This record still sounds legitimate and fresh today. And remember how fun these box sets were, and we never got a third one. I know they at least made the box for the third one because there's an old interview, there's an old special when they were getting Motley Crue back together for Carnival of Sins, where in the manager's office you see all three parts because it spells out the whole word. But we never got part 3, and that's a shame because these were fun and it's nice to have it all in one big collection. Fell through the cracks. And lastly, just a little bit of Motley Crue in my life. When I first met my wife, she knew I wasn't full of shit because she asked me what kind of music I liked, and I said Kiss, Motley Crue, and Alice Cooper, and she knew I wasn't lying because, as she says, no one would admit to liking those bands. She told me on our first date that she met Nikki Sixx when she was young, and she did. Dr. Feelgood tour back then. There's Nikki. Arms not complete yet. That's a pretty cool thing. And to know even further that two teenage kids walked into an arena with a Motley Crue cassette is even kind of neater. They believe they got, if I can focus in here, there's Vince's autograph under the Motley Crue logo, Mick Mars and Nikki Sixx autograph on a cassette. Kind of, in the days of streaming, it's nice to know that there was a time when kids walked backstage with a cassette tape in their hand. That's pretty cool. And lastly, our first Great Dane was named Nikki Sixx, and there she is. That's our very first Great Dane. That's my dog Lady. Very first Great Dane named Nikki Sixx. So that's just a little nostalgic background on myself and Motley Crue. I can understand when, you know, guys that grew up with Kiss in the 70s, how the antics what Kiss does today, current day, makes them angry, because what they remember as children is wholesome. And not that Motley Crue has changed members with this new announcement. They did, of course, you know, have Randy a new tattoo, and then Samantha for that tour, but, and of course Karabi. But I mean, it's still the real Motley Crue with this announcement. But my memories of Motley Crue are Motley Crue as this thing, as this beast that is kind of true to their word and above gimmicks. Even though, I mean, they are a very gimmicky band. I mean, they changed logos every album, they changed outfits every album, very much like Kiss. And that's probably half the reason I liked Kiss, because growing up as a Crue fan, I was sort of molded to like bands like that. So I get it. I get when the guys that grew up on Kiss in the 70s don't like what's going on today, because it's pretty much how I feel right now. So back to the meat of the discussion here, the Motley Crue announcement that they are back. I said on Brant's video that I think it's lame. I still stand by that. I do, for some reason, think it's lame. But I do have a caveat to my thinking. My deal with Motley Crue announcing they're coming back, that's cool, I get it. But, and as of this taping, nothing has really been ironed out. But the rumor is that it will be Def Leppard, Poison, and Motley Crue doing like a stadium tour. And to me, that just makes it like a hair band thing. That I love Poison, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Poison fan, but lumping all these bands together just makes it like a nostalgia act. And to me, Motley Crue's bigger than that. Motley Crue is an entity. Motley Crue is like Kiss, and this announcement that they're coming back is something I would expect from Kiss. It's totally something Kiss would do. But remember back when they did the End tour, and there was always the rumor that Alice Cooper opened for them, and there was always the rumor that at the last show Alice Cooper was going to chop off their heads. They should have done that. That would have been absolutely amazing. But on that note, remember after the End, like I think Eddie Trunk said it, don't quote me on that, but I think Eddie Trunk said that it was told that after that final show, Motley Crue like got on their buses and left, didn't even say goodbye to each other. And to me, they hated each other then, or they didn't get along then. Hate's a big, strong word, I'm sorry. They didn't care for each other then. Why care for each other now? Because there's millions of dollars lying on the table. I know all sorts of bands get back together for money, and I'm all for that. Why not make money when you can? But if this tour becomes Def Leppard, Poison, Motley Crue, to me it just weakens it. Now, here's why I wanted to film this video. I was thinking the other day, the new Ozzy songs are pretty damn good, and I am pretty excited for that record to come out. He sounds great. I think it's going to be a fun record. How awesome would an Ozzy Motley Crue tour be in 2020? To me, that would give it a non-nostalgia feel. That would be like two rock and roll demons from the 80s are back. Two of the baddest rock bands of the 80s are back. And I mean, to me that would make it a little more legitimate. And personally, I just think a stadium tour with those three bands weakens it. Me seeing Poison by themselves 2020, I would be all for it. Not a big Def Leppard fan, so I wouldn't go to that. Me seeing Motley Crue by themselves in 2020, I would go with that. It's the package of the three, the rumored package of the three, that I just don't dig. And my personal opinion, everyone has their own thoughts. Let me know your comments below, what you think. Are you excited for this rumored 3-pack Def Leppard, Poison, Motley Crue tour? Again, that's just a rumor. Nothing's been ironed out. But does that excite you? Or would you rather see Motley Crue on their own? Would you like to see Motley Crue and Ozzy tour together? That is my hope. That is my wish. If I could rub Aladdin's lamp right now, that would be my one wish. If Motley Crue's back, which they are, tour with Ozzy. Do it upright. That would be my one wish. Just make this tour, like, mean something. Don't make it a nostalgia trip. Don't make it a, you know, and plus, you get three bands together, they're gonna have short set list, greatest hits, K-Tel type track listing, and to me, that's just not fun. Make this legitimate. Make this badass. Play some B-sides. Tour with Ozzy. That would be tremendous. That would be like a heavy metal show of the 80s. That would be fun. That's my wish. Thank you for hanging with me today. Leave your comments below. Let's celebrate the fun of being a Motley Crue fan down in those comments. Let me know your thoughts on Motley Crue getting back together. What are your wishes? What are your hopes for this tour? If you would like to be a pen pal with me, details below. Send me a postcard with your return address. I will return the favor. We will be, it's all for you demon pen pals. Thank you for hanging with me. Take care. Be safe. Be good to your babies. Spay, neuter, microchip. They're high on CBD oil right now. Pee-wee's got a little thing with her ear. Kept scratching her ear, so some little CBD treats for the witches. Thank you for hanging with me. Take care. Be safe. I'm back, and I will talk to you soon. Whoa.